Twitter's or X is dying, and there's a lot less activity there. Like, where do you see like like what does that look like? It fractures, but then like does the protocols aren't going to die? So like where is the new like town square, or is it just going to be a bunch of smaller ones like Farcaster, more activity in Discord, etc.? I don't know. What are your
I think
thoughts?
Farcaster is going to make it. I really do. Like I'm actually considering it's really hard to like be active on Farcaster and Twitter. I'm actually thinking about like pulling the plug on Twitter for a few weeks and just trying to do only Farcaster, and see how it goes. Because right now Farcaster is still a lot smaller than Twitter. Although it depends on the ecosystem you're in. Like if you're specifically building, if you're like an Ethereum Solidity developer, or if you're into like NFTs, like and non-financial use cases, I would say Farcaster is already more active than Twitter, which is kind of interesting. If you're, yeah, it's right now, I'd say it's like this very like nerdy kind of like very Ethereum, less financial use case focused, like community, a lot of engineers, who I think have largely like left Twitter. But it doesn't have like the broad reach of Twitter yet, but I think it's gonna make it. Yeah. So, but I think there will be other places that things go as well.
That's gnarly. Are there like meme accounts and stuff on Farcaster?
Now, I mean, I'm sure there are, but it's just like a very different vibe from Twitter right now. Yeah. The core crypto Twitter community, like mainstream crypto Twitter, which is focused on like trading and memes, has not moved over yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the part of crypto Twitter that's like builders, a lot of it has already moved.
That's sick. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's where my question stems from, is like when I hear, oh, Twitter's dying, yeah, it sucks, but my initial thought is like, well, fuck, like where's like the new like town square for builders in the space in and of itself, right?
I regret to inform Instagram Tommy that it is not Threads. Sorry.
I don't even, bro. Out of everything you've ever roasted me for, that is the one I will like legitimately take the most offense to. You think I use Threads? Do you think I have no self-respect? What?
Everyone needs to pick a social media that represents them, and yours, I don't know.
I mean,
what would you pick?
ChristianMingle.com.
Okay. Okay.
That's a joke.
Is that a social network? Or?
So yeah, back in high school, I went to like a Christian private high school, and we would always joke about the like dating app. It's called ChristianMingle.com. Have you never heard of it? Someone listening to this has definitely heard of it. So
yeah, I've definitely heard of it. Did you use it?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, well, I lived in Chapel Hill the whole time because I had a boyfriend.
Is Wake like a Christian school?
There's a lot of college students. So North Carolina has this like crazy amount of like universities right around like the center of the state. And there's a lot of people who like went to different universities who are kind of like, yeah, spent a lot of my time at UNC. That is like a very common
Chapel Hill's
thing.
like the sickest place ever in America. That is.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, I went to Wake. Technically,
you stand by that? You really think that?
Yeah, Chapel Hill's like the funnest place ever. I wish I went to Chapel Hill
in America.
I guess besides Miami.
What?
Okay.
First, do you agree with that or no?
I lived in Chapel Hill for way too long. Like the thing is that there's a lot of
Where'd
people
you live in Chapel Hill?
I guess you know where Eastgate Shopping Center is?
Yeah.
Like a mile from there. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
And then I went to UNC too, but I lived there in middle school and high school, and like, so most people have this like very romantic association with Chapel Hill because they went there while they were like, being a college student and whatnot. My like association with Chapel Hill is a lot more like, is very different than that. And it's very like, it's kind of I don't know. My parents love it. And I think it's a nice place. It's kind of like a strange vibe when you live in a place where like it's very oriented around the school, but like you're just a resident. But a lot of people really like it. My parents are like, yeah, not leaving. They're like the crypto people that are like, I'm not leaving. You know how bad the bear market gets. My parents are not leaving Chapel Hill. They like it a lot.
Yeah, Chapel Hill's sick, but yeah, it would be like, I guess it's fine now, but in 10 years, I'm not sure I would like love visiting. It would be probably weird as shit when there's just like college
there's not a lot of
students and
people
you're
like I have a lot of friends that still live in the Triangle, like broadly, like Raleigh, Durham, but most of them don't live in Chapel Hill because it's not. There's a huge gap, right? There's basically like students and grad students, and then there's like people that move there when they have older kids because there's really good public schools. But there's like this big age gap between like 25 and like 40. There's just like not a lot happening.
Interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense. We gotta get you over there, Tommy. I'll come back and I can take you to the college bars.
I think I'm good. Oh, I'll go.
We'll see how New York goes.
Tommy knows the vibe.
Right? I've never been.
Tommy knows the vibe.
Here we go.
He lived in Gainesville, which is I think pretty similar. I've never been to Gainesville, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the same.
Every time Frisian starts talking about me, I'm just like waiting for like the
scared. It's like, oh no, this is positive
for like the. And this is why Tommy fucking sucks.
And every episode for me is like Dave Chappelle's player haters ball. You know, I'm like, hate.
All right, let's talk a little bit about DAOs for this DAO Talk podcast. It's going to be a relatively short episode this week. Until like shit starts to pick back up, I mean, it's going to be more of these open-ended conversations just about how the week went, what's going on in the space, what are the hot topics. Kind of the thing, in my opinion, if you want to even say dominated, but the more controversial thing that's happening in the DAO space is around like Gitcoin and Owaki coming back to Gitcoin. I want to talk about this tweet and then Amin's response and get everyone's opinions. DAO public goods, handshake, DAO governance, and it's the office meme where it's like corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture. It's the same picture. And then Amin commented, in quotes, glorified budget committees, which is just like, damn, dude. We really need to be roasting public goods right now, but any thoughts on all of this? I'm not like too involved in the Gitcoin ecosystem besides what, we've done with Tally tangentially with Delegation Week and talking with, did Sean work at Gitcoin, CHG? I know you used to work with Sean. Maybe CHG can start on like your interactions with Gitcoin and what it's like now or how you feel about public goods as a whole. And if you disagree or agree with the means comment, even if you agree with it, I think that's still not like a horrible thing to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Gitcoin's been through so many different sort of like I guess it's always been pro public goods, but it's worked so many different ways in the last 2 years. Because I've known so many people who've worked at Gitcoin from when I just started in crypto to Sean actually started at Index Coop around the same time as me, and we had like our little training on the same day. So I'm pretty close with him, and so he joined Gitcoin as like one of the paid stewards. So they're like not just a steward, they're like a steward oversight committee, which sort of stands with Amin's comment scarily, but now Gitcoin has even made a product with Index Coop that like funds public goods, like the yield goes to funding public goods, and I think that's done very poorly. So my opinion on Amin's comment though is like, oh, he's not afraid to tell it like it is, I guess. But I think he's telling it like it is for the meme, but I just don't think that DAO governance is the same as funding public goods. And I think that's like a very Gitcoin take, and probably one that doesn't do great for DAOs because what Amin and probably a lot of other people are probably thinking. I think like DAO governance funds business or like funds and deals with business decisions that aren't like even the Arbitrum Security Council. That's definitely part of DAO governance, and I wouldn't say that that's funding a public good in a very direct way, like whatsoever. So yeah, I'd agree with Amin's comment, but fight Owaki's meme. I think it's just like what you want to hear if you work at Gitcoin, which is cool, but I'm not all about public goods. So like coming from such a DeFi background, like DAOs fund real financial decisions and also like employment decisions at the very least.
I'm gonna jump in and defend Gitcoin here. So I've been thinking about this a lot through the lens of Arbitrum, like as a delegate, because there's a lot of debates about like how to use a treasury. And what I would say is that there's broad agreement, definitely majority agreement in the DAO that the treasury should be used to try to grow Arbitrum, as opposed to just like sitting there, or like trying not to sell the token or whatever. It should be invested, right, for growth. But the question is, how do you invest that? And I think one pitch that Gitcoin makes, that I think is valid. Optimism also is like a big fan of this approach. Is like, you know, in a DAO, it's actually like quite difficult to figure out what is the like best way to get a return on the DAO's investment. And there's not like it's more difficult. Like a lot of the infrastructure that you have to kind of drive that in the off-chain world, like in nonprofits and in corporations, doesn't exist within DAOs. Like and so the question is, how do you kind of approach growing the ecosystem? And there's an argument to be made that funding public goods in the ecosystem is actually like one of the more effective ways to grow overall protocol traction. I think Optimism has like had some success with that approach, where basically they have made available their code base and then just like invested a lot of money into teams that are just like building useful stuff generally in and around the OP stack, which then kind of generates more developer attention, increases the tooling and resources and infrastructures that's available, and then creates like a virtuous cycle around that. So I actually think like taking a public goods funding based approach to using DAO treasuries like is a valid and interesting approach. I don't think it's like the only mental model to use. I mean, I agree. Obviously, like Kevin is marketing Gitcoin, which is good on him, right? He's coming back. He's trying to drive growth, but yeah, I do think it's a valid mental model just from my perspective within the DAO space.
I get that, especially with Optimism. Where else do you see like Gitcoin's sort of a unique example, like such like a like bulwark of public goods funding that isn't an L2. So like Optimism's obviously works so well. Arbitrum will probably hop on a similar boat to Optimism and fund public goods with the treasury. Gitcoin funds public goods as a DAO. What other DAO is funding public goods and like potentially or definitely seeing success from that?
That is a good question. So the first part of your statement, what other DAO is funding public goods, like Nouns is probably the most well-known and kind of aggressive example of using the treasury to fund public goods. Whether that's successful or not remains to be seen. I think they have had a lot of success. If you look at the builder community, I think this approach is like very effective at attracting builders. Right, because like in the ecosystem, basically, like if you're a builder, it's like, okay, well, I want to have some like really sweet tech that I can just use. Ideally, it's open source, and I want to have some funding to get rolling on my idea. Right, that's kind of like the toolbox if you're a developer, and then you can kind of use the DAO's tech and the DAO's funding, and then also the like built-in distribution channel of the DAO, where like other people who funded the work will like retweet your stuff, and like you can remix it with stuff that other people are building to kind of like bootstrap distribution. Like that definitely happened and is happening at scale in Nouns. There's a lot of like really sick governance tooling that has like emerged as a result of that, but also like other types of tooling, right? They did a whole thing around like privacy solutions that like was a big catalyst in the ecosystem. So yeah, I think like, I mean, it depends what you mean by like been successful with, like, ultimately is like taking a public goods funding approach like the best possible approach. Like I don't know, but if we're just defining success as like attracting developers and builders and getting people to like bootstrap products in your ecosystem, then I think DAO has definitely had a lot of success as well.
Yeah, people like to shit on it all, but I remember your tweet you posted this week, Frisian. It's like, I forget the exact wording, but it's like, remember everyone, crypto skeptics are still technically crypto influencers or something like that, which I think is important to remember. It's something we've talked about throughout this podcast since its inception is like the negative side or the negative takes. And I think we're not calling them mean negative, but like it's a interesting like little poke at, it started this conversation, which is good. But Frisian.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great analogy for what Amin's doing here, right? Like he is like I think he has like sort of a different vision for like how to approach funding things than Gitcoin does, and has like a bit of a long-standing like public debate with the team, but he's also drafting off of them, right? Right, like he's moving his dialogue forward like on top of Gitcoin's dialogue, right? Which is a perfect example. Like all these people that are like, I'm a professional crypto skeptic. I'm like, oh, so you're a crypto influencer? Cool.
Yeah, I think he knows that, and it's not to say like everyone needs to be nice or like, but I think it's important to remember like even these little comments or like these negative jabs, it's pushing everyone forward, right? It's making us talk about it in a critiquing way, like a positive criticism way. We're hearing both sides from you and from CHG, and then we're meaningfully moving the narrative forward, which I think is a win-win. It's not a zero-sum game for everybody, so. Interesting. Cool. Well, like I said, we're keeping this episode relatively short, but let's go through some Tally news. We have an event. This is the last DAO Talk before we have our event next week, live and in person during Mainnet and NYC. Some news since the last DAO Talk, we brought on a partner for the event, Uniswap Foundation, which is pretty fucking epic. So Uniswap Foundation is joined as a co-host for our event, which is called an On-Chain Gathering, 3-hour. It's more than a happy hour, less than a full-fledged like conference event, but it'll be a good time. It'll be a week from today at 6 p.m. If you're listening to this and you're not on the list, I'll throw a link to the event pass in the show notes below. You can go mint that on Zora. I think it's around like $40 paying ETH. That is on base. So go mint a pass if you want to come hang out with us. Other than that, the big news is we got the Arbitrum Security Council, which we've teased a bunch of times on the podcast before. That is probably going live in the next couple of days. So we'll have a lot of content around that coming out in the coming days. Anything we want to talk about around the Security Council? We'll have a DAO Talk interview around that too, if you want to dive deep into like what it actually means and what the team is building, both on Tally side and on Arbitrum DAO side. But super excited for that. Any thoughts?
On the NYC event, if you're a DAO Talk listener, just hit me in your DMs. We can provide some special deals, a little VIP access for the DAO Talk fam. So just hit me up. Yeah,
slide into any of our DMs. We'll get you set up pretty nice. There's also like a pretty sick merch package we're doing for anyone that attends the event. So everyone always yells at me for Tally merch, DAO Talk merch. Well, here's the answer. So I hope you're listening towards the end of this episode. I'm always interested to know who stays till the end, but looking forward to it. We'll be in New York IRL next week. Me and Version get to meet CHG in person for the first time. Pretty crazy. Looking forward to it. Any closing thoughts from everybody before I see you in person?
We'll confirm Tommy's height on the podcast next week.
Version knows.
No, does he?
I do. He is not 5'9".
He's 5'8". Short king. Yeah, we'll see.
I'm not a short
king. Do you really not know how tall Tommy is?
No, but I'm 5'8", so if they're shorter than me, they're like short, and if they're taller than me, like you can.
What do you think I am?
No, I just want to tell you that you're 5'8". Like just Version has his little jabs at you, and I'm like sticking to the 5'8" thing. So
yeah, but Version's like based in facts. They just hurt.
So someone seems a little defensive about the height thing. I'm not too sure.
Okay. No, I'm just like, I know my height is like a very solid fact. Like,
Yeah, no, like totally. Yeah, we'll see.
This situation will be resolved definitively.
Yeah,
Very
we'll
soon.
pull out the
3 or 4
measuring
days,
stick. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll say about the Security Council, there's going to be fresh docs. That'll go into pretty good detail about
Fresh docs.
how to participate in the council, and also just what a council is, like, and why a council is important, or why it could be useful for like Arbitrum DAO as well as any DAO in general. So I'm pretty excited, especially to see like this will probably be the like starting point of many security councils popping up, as we've already seen a few in the past, right? But yeah, pretty keen. Also, like just starting with New York and Security Council same time. I'm excited to hear the like little pitches and stuff. Maybe some in-person lobbying could be cool.
Ooh,
Wonder how
I like
important
I
that
like
could be, right? Over the next like as people start running for stuff.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, I think in person anything is always is better than digital. But yeah, looking forward to it. I'll see you guys next week. This has been DAO Talk episode 55, I believe. 55 or 56, one of the two. But cool. Peace.
Peace.
Bye, guys.